Okay, it says I'm broadcasting. So I just have to go to YouTube and open it up. Uh,
Oh yeah, I just got your notification.
Hello. Is it check already in audio? It's kind of hard to read the words on the middle of the screen, right?
Maybe you should make it bigger.
Yeah, or increase the font size or bold it all. I don't know if I can bold it all with this program, but I can have another program for that. I can even use, well, I don't know what I'll use, but anyway, let me fix this. Chat, live chat, and there's old school Dave. Hello, old school Dave. And Rise Above. Hello, hello, and Finch. Hi, Sonia, Kathy, and everyone. Hello, everyone. Yes, good to see some familiar faces. So, look at what's happening. We're live streaming. Kathy's right next to me.
Hello.
She's going to be the voice from a little bit of a distance.
The Netherlands.
Not much. Netherlands. Um, and we listened to a tape this morning because we took today off. So we got up, and as is Kathy's preference and habit, to listen to a tape in the morning. And I think it's a great idea. I was a little reluctant at first because I knew I'd be typing it. I didn't feel like awake enough at first. Was a little unsettled with it at the moment, but then I came around to not let my vehicle stand in the way of listening to a tape, because when we listen to a tape, then we automatically want to share that, what we heard, some of what we heard. And so we're still on tape in the 220 right now. Um, and we've talked about little parts of 216, 17, 18, 19. Not a lot, because I usually get questions, and sometimes that takes the time away. But there's a lot to say about, um, like, I keep on hearing things on the tapes that I've been saying over the years without remembering exactly where I learned it from. And so I've been seeing things like that all the time, and by listening to the tapes now, and learning a lot of things that I didn't really understand at the time that Joe was talking about at the time. And So it's great. So I'm gonna just go right to that, I guess, right now. So at least it's on here in case there are some questions. Oh, you know what? I didn't tell my Sawyer Heaven's Gate Facebook page that I'm doing this, so bear with me a second if you don't mind. It's gonna be more than a second, of course. Share, copy link, Facebook. Yeah, I don't know if anybody came into the Twitter feed from the Twitter feed when I posted that link last time, but I used to do it all the time. before when it was Twitter still. So I'll do that also. Okay. Good. Okay, that's done. Now I just need to put it in my Twitter feed, which should be pretty easy.
Yeah, and their camping's getting tight too, or else I'll go over there and
Yeah, right. No one escapes it, I guess. We've got these big, like, I think they're like walnuts that are falling and hitting the top of our roof. And they sound like somebody's smashing you.
Yeah, I think we had some branches hit us too.
Yeah. Where's my ability to? I'm trying to search X for my. Okay, go to home, I guess. That works. Good. Okay, so that's done. Okay, I just want I need to just bring out the chat. And then I'll go right to the chat and see what's going on. Let's see. I already said hello to. Okay, rise above. Sawyer, I've always had a question, but I don't know how to frame it properly or seem disrespectful. But I'm going to give it a go.
Five slides? How the hell do you have five slides?
Okay, yeah, shoot. Rise above. I'm not.
He's probably typing it out right now.
Yeah, so I'll look at it in a minute if you're typing it out. I'd be glad to hear what you have to say.
15, okay, that's it. That's amazing.
Okay, so let me go back to my screen. Okay, we're still moving ahead here.
I like that.
What?
That you're moving ahead.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. So right above says T is Doe's older member and Doe is the student's older member. Correct? Yes, that's correct.
Is T also their older member?
Yes, T is also our older member, but Doe is referred to, in a funny kind of way as a grandfather.
The T is also the student's older member.
Uh, yes, but it's not the same relationship as T with Doe, except
I know it's not the same as T with Doe or Doe with the students,
right.
but T is an older member to the students as well.
Yes,
And she's
yes,
an older member to us too.
yes.
Anybody surviving on this planet, T is an older member to it.
Anybody that
And
believes in her,
Doe is as well.
yes, that's right.
Sorry.
That's right. I don't want to make it. I want to be as clear as possible on that. But it's interesting that you brought that up. I don't know if you brought it up because you read what I had on the screen there. So let me address that first. But first, let me read the rest of your comment in case there's more aspects to it. So it seems to T is a higher rank, but the teachings, and when I hear the class talk, they seem to have more reverence or reference might not be the right word, but more focus on dough. Right, more reference.
I think reverence.
Reverence?
Yeah.
Okay, reference might not be the right word, but more focus on dough. Um,
Reverence is like adoration. You're revering him.
yeah, I understand.
Reference doesn't make sense.
Reverence, he clarified that. Yeah,
Yeah, the
reverence.
division. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, um, well, it's okay. T and O explained uh, this subject. I'm going to combine what I wanted to talk about that we just heard in, I think, tape 220 that was recorded June 30th, 1985, audio tape of our internal meeting for anybody that's new to this broadcast. The meetings that T and O gave, over 1,000 of them. I mean, T wasn't in all of them because she left in 1985. Anyway, so uh, Doe was saying how I'm going to try to read the words I have on this. Wasn't it in today's tape?
Yeah,
You're talking about all the members?
I believe so. I mean, yeah, and T. There was a lot of talk about her.
Maybe I just typed it in as OM. Well, I'm just going to have to say it the way I remember it. And Kathy was listening to this several times as well, so she'll know if she'll be my check partner on it. But it has to do with the fact that um, T didn't tell Doe that she was his older member. And even at one point, if I remember correctly, uh, said to Doe something to the effect of, "You don't know that I'm your older member," and that we could be one mind using both of our vehicles. And Doe said that that kind of made him think a lot about that. But then he said he felt like T clarified to him, or I don't know when exactly, but he felt like he understood that they were separate beings, separate souls, separate older members. And but it's the nature of an older member from the next level is not to try to influence people to think they're something very special, because they want individuals to come to that recognition by hearing the information and recognizing that the information is very special and very different from other things that they've heard, um, through the religions and through everything, right? Through science. And there's just aspects of it and terminology because it's more accurate now than the archaic ways that people think about uh, the what has been known as the Bible and the Torah and the Quran and the other holy books, the Bhagavad Gita, um, that all potentially have some next level mind in them, for for the benefit of different grades in school in the human kingdom. But by the way, since I'm saying that, Jesus and uh, even separate from the task that Elijah did, and that Moses did, and that Enoch did, and that Adam started off, all being, according to T, Doe, the soul Doe, the older member from the next level Doe, who accepted the task, um, from T. Anyway, so it's the nature of an older member not to emphasize being something that other people would see as heightened, or enlightened, or a god, or a prophet, or anything like that. They were very reluctant to say that they were the two witnesses in the book of Revelation, chapter 11. So you can see in statement one where they talk about that, but they don't actually bring up the words two witnesses. They say that two individuals are here uh, to demonstrate the same process that Jesus was teaching, which was separation from the human kingdom, and even willing to lose your life in support of that separation from the human kingdom and support of um, the telling the truth to people, and that people that might not be very prone to wanting to receive it. And that's what happened in the more primitive days. But now, fortunately, at least in the United States and Canada and probably most of Europe and other places, um, if you claim to be somebody with information from God, from the Father, the Heavenly Father, or from whatever, you're not generally persecuted. Although some are, I know, because there are a number of people. I know this one fellow in South America who was saying he was the return of Jesus, and he got a lot of flack, and rightly so, because not that I approve of what kind of flack he gets. I don't approve of anybody hurting anybody physically, or even mentally, really. Um, And anyway, but separating from the human kingdom, uh, isn't an easy task. It's a difficult task. It's like a dog trying not to be a dog anymore. And how do you know what's not like what's like a dog trying to be a human? Okay. And how do you know? How does that dog know what it's how to become a human? Even though they're not consciously thinking that's what's happening, but that is what's happening in a kind of evolutionary step. And and um, the dog has a choice, but a lot of their choice is probably based on their upbringing, and the same as humans, though, in that regard, I believe. And so the older members, they are dishing, they're giving information that can work for all levels of life to upgrade because of adopting, and you see the adoption of it throughout history with the equal rights and uh, for women and equal rights for different people of different races and and health consciousness and all kinds of things. And now some of those things seem to be going to an extreme of equality, even though probably doesn't hurt anything to do that, except it just gives other people something that is testing them to get all upset about what people are saying about their gender and their uh, um, the different things that are controversial. Because it's all opportunities to have a higher and higher responses instead of people being at each other's throats or keeping people out of businesses if they don't speak the right way. And even though it's good to have restraint, that's another characteristic of a member of the next level, and to not be preachy and not tell other people what to do. That's all. That's part of what I'm talking about. That he didn't tell Doe what to do. I'm not saying that Doe didn't ask her and that she might have responded, okay, like the same way that he and Doe together would only tell us what to do when we were asking for them to do that. But they're not comfortable in that position. And in the next level, that's not the way it is for the members. Doe even talked about that, I think, in tape 220 a little bit. I mean, there's so many things in these tapes that you could listen to probably 10 times and still be getting more things uh, because by wanting to know, wanting to understand them, you're drawing part of their mind, that inquisitiveness or that curiosity or that desire to just comprehend what they were teaching. Because I just have to mention that I've had somebody recently talk about. Uh, well, no, I'm not going to go into that right now. Anyway, so okay, so I'll go to the second part of your question. Or maybe let's see. So it seems to a higher rank, but the teachings, and when I hear the class talk, they seem more reverence, uh, more focus on dough. Well, yeah, I guess I understand that, and it's very clear that, and you can even listen to a number of audio tapes. I wouldn't use the word reverence really, because uh, um, people, even in the tape that we just listened to, 220, I think Sunodi, no, not
Yeah,
Sunodi,
I can't remember who it was.
Aniodi, no,
I
um,
can't remember. I don't know if it's
in
Joe.
awe. Pressodi was, I believe.
Anyway,
Pressodi said that whenever she would see Tiendo, T, especially she was talking about in this context of T just leaving her vehicle, that she would feel in awe of T.
I almost scared.
yeah, but
That's what she said.
yeah, almost scared, but right. Which I understand that, but see, people could easily take that the wrong way. Almost scared the way that she meant it. Didn't mean that she thought T was going to do anything to her physically or mentally to harm her at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
It was a trusting and a knowing that, this is where they say that the Lord is ominous. The true creators of the planet to a human is an ominous uh, presence, an ominous uh, example and creation. If you actually think about, people probably do, but sometimes we take a lot for granted. I mean, we do. I think we all take a lot for granted.
Hmm.
But the way this planet works, and even with the invisible parts of it, frequency parts of it, which is a huge part of it, the planet working, through the information that the next level provides in the ether, in the airwaves, in our environment that people can draw on in order to solve their problems sometimes, and a lot of these things have been documented. People know that they're good techniques to use to help people with certain problems, and medicine increasing its value, and but healthy living, whatever, and all those things are coming from the next level labs. They're working on how to keep on improving our diet, and when it gets to a certain point to where the nutritional deficiencies and everything else are coming to a head, to where they realize that it's time to take the harvest, use those terms, though it's not a term without heart in it. They are heartful about what they're doing on this planet and the life forms that are growing on it. And so that it's when it's time for harvest, though, it's time that the vehicles get recycled and the mines are saved for a future opportunity to continue to grow in the human school. So anyway, so um, I might have got off the track there, but I'll just leave it at that. So yes, I feel like I was in awe of Tiendo. Also, I've used that term before to talk about uh, how I felt towards Tiendo in their presence, and but sometimes I was overly comfortable too. I would go both
Hmm.
ways, and sometimes out of my discomfort, I would say something that was kind of stupid. Like when I asked T whether she was wearing why she was wearing eye makeup when we had a one on. It wasn't a one on one. It was T and Do with my partner Dan Doty and I. Before Dan Doty was Dan Doty, she was Dandy. Anyway, so we were sitting in a car because they were meeting with people in the camp. There were over 90 students, and so they were just giving us time to have a more of a face-to-face meeting with them instead of just seeing them in meetings. And that was primarily how we saw them. Saw them unless we were some of the students that were doing tasks for them, coordinating issues between the six or so groups that were like in the Wyoming Vidavoo rustic park area at the time in 1975 and six, well, six, not five. Anyway, so yeah, so I don't know what else did they say about that. Do you remember about the reverence? I can search on awe.
Well, she felt like for that she felt like
I found it.
yeah, she
Oh, this is the part that talks about the one mind and two vehicles. Okay, so anyway, so Doe says that as long as T was in a human vehicle, we students needed to look to both of them as older members equally. Um, yeah, she didn't want to make her being an older member to Doe an issue. And Doe talks a little bit about how um, the value of an older member not uh, stating that they're an older member to the younger members, because it can set up an interference of people thinking that they're to be subservient to T, and or, and and Doe said that T was modest in that way, um, which made it a lot easier for him. He was talking about that it made it easier for him to not think of um, T as his older member until he could open his eyes enough um, to where his vehicle wasn't balking, because his vehicle would balk at first. And Kathy can help me express this if you can. But on one time he said, or in the beginning, because he was so uh, he had lived alone
Mm-hmm.
for a length of time.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't in the habit of
Checking.
looking checking with somebody else about doing certain things, and he wouldn't say anything to him about it, but he would recognize by his own mind trying to be aware of of his what he was doing and thinking and saying that uh, um, he was doing things that uh, I don't know how he said that last part, that let's see, that helped him become more whole, helped him grow his mind more, uh, because he was adopting his old member's mind, because he he wouldn't tell him the things that unless he asked her for it. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, and I'm not doing a very good job with looking at my notes. But I mean, when Doe talks in these tapes, it's just every word is meaningful to him. Every, you can see him many times. He'll say a word and then he'll say no, and he'll come back with another word that he felt is a little more accurate. And he often says that he doesn't know how to put this into words because a lot of things were occurring to him from questions from individuals that uh, he didn't really have like a program to describe to people the images and the ideas that he was having and the concepts he was recognizing as a response to some of the questions. And the way you can see that is by listening to the tapes. Let me go out of the chat room. Maybe I said enough about that for now. Harm, hello, Soy and Kathy. Hope you're doing well. Yes, we are doing fairly well. I think very well, actually. Although, we have our own challenges like everybody else, negative influences and whatnot. The list is quite long, especially in this current world, as things are going haywire left and right, upside down, right side up. It's like a merry-go-round. It makes your stomach sick if you stay on it for too long. But I like to keep abreast of what's going on in the world, and yet I can be depressed by it also. Like yesterday, I was feeling some of that. That was great, thank
But
you.
it was your birthday.
Or maybe it was the day before yesterday, or before you came home, as I was watching all these, videos on Rumble and YouTube, and
Yeah, everybody, it was his birthday yesterday. He won't tell you that.
yeah, this vehicle became 73 years old. And it was nice. I admit it was nice to hear from because Kathy made a post on her page and tagged me, and so it was nice to see a bunch of people wishing me a happy birthday. And I didn't even know so many people on Kathy's page knew me or knew about me. But Kathy's, she hasn't been hiding the fact that we're um, like Mutt and Jeff, or I guess I'm the Mutt and you're the Jeff.
Who are those people?
Well, they were cartoon characters, so that's not a good
Oh.
example. But
No, we could be cartoon characters. I
we can
like
be
it.
Guinea and Pig also. You know, I'll
No,
be Pig.
that's Tando.
Yeah, and because the next level, when somebody wants to be of service and they've expressed that in their own way, in their own times, however often they want to or not, whatever it is, the next level doesn't. I don't think they hold back on helping us be of service in whatever ways, um, and it's the way of a member of the next level to you know uh, to feel well, to recognize the truth and how valuable it is to reality, to want to share it with other people. But yet the lower forces, they want you to think that nobody cares, and even if one person cares, why isn't that one person of value? They are to the next level. They've even said that, that if only one person graduated in the class, that there would be a kind of a ceremony, a joyous ceremony for that person making it through that birth canal. Because everybody in this live stream and that hears these anything about TNO knows that it's a challenge to look at in the least bit as a positive, because of how we've all been subject to the programming that will keep us human if uh, we don't fluff it off when we're given the opportunity to fluff it off, or sometime thereafter, because it's all up to us. It's not something that you can sign up for, and once you sign up, then you're automatically on the boat or on the bus that leaves here with the soul, not the body. Next level doesn't seem to have any need of these physical bodies, and they don't even need us to do the work. They have ways, I know for a fact, that they can, like Jesus said, we can raise up uh, people to do the harvest from the dirt of the ground. In other words, from the if the ones that were meant to respond positively, because the next level helped them be ready for that step of responding positively in some way. If they don't respond, then the next level, you know, uh, you're going to see individuals that weren't necessarily given that help rising to the occasion and the next level giving them the opportunities to do the tasks that they want to see done so that everybody has a chance to hear about T&O. And any that don't, they're not lost because it's all judged by the next level, whether somebody is separating from the world in their own way by not wanting to be a part of a lot of the things that are happening. And that's, I think, some degree of separation.
Chat room.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now, babe. I hope you're okay. Old school Dave sounds extra low tonight. Really? Let's see if I did anything by mistake with the volume. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I thought I tested the mic.
Thought you
It
did
was
too.
good, but it was the computer mic. Because now the regular mic is on. Darn. Well, I guess I
I'm
got to
sure
repeat
it was.
everything, so I'm going to repeat it.
You're ridiculous.
Sorry, folks. That was bad oversight. I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, yeah, I'll plug that in a second. And I should have done it right away instead of procrastinating. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, old school Dave. Okay, then the next comment was Rise Above. That was great, thank you for such an informative, concise answer. It definitely helps me understand and perceive things much more properly. You're welcome. Wow, that's concise. I never ever think of myself as concise, so that's nice to see that I was a little concise. Okay, happy 25th birthday, young man. So says Rise Above.
That's funny.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. 25th birthday. Yeah, that's better than, I guess, I don't know. It's better to have a birthday than not, right? Okay, so let me go back to the thing I posted on the screen there, because I'm caught up with the comments. I don't know what that's hitting
I
to
think
make
it's
that.
hitting the back. It hit the back of the RV.
Oh, really?
I think.
Hmm.
Felt it jolt a little. The only thing we could do is move.
I know. I don't know why this keeps going to top chat. I didn't change it. I changed it 3 times.
Hmm.
Much better, says old school Dave. Thank you, Jeremy Dick. He said that he thinks that he can tell I'm a real good guy and all that stuff. Well, a little bit goodness. We all are striving for more goodness. I mean, I believe I am. I don't like negativity. Okay, well, I guess I'm caught up with the chat, unless I missed anything. So let me go back to my screen here. I think it was right here. Yes. And I said in audio 220 on June 30th, 1985, we learned that one, T didn't tell Doe she was her older member. I already talked about this, but I'm just going to read it for anybody that can't read what's on the screen there. T even told Doe he didn't know that, and that how does he know there wasn't one mind operating both their human vehicles, which made Doe really think about it and separate and felt like he got clarification that they were separate minds doing each task though in the same chain of mind all members of the next level are a part of. So anyway, I wanted to add a note to that because as I keep on talking about in almost every live stream recently, we've been watching that Gene Roddenberry Earth's Final Exit series on Amazon.
Earth's final conflict.
Earth's Final Conflict, yeah, not Exit, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Earth's Final Conflict series. They talk about the commonality as something all Talon members share. Now, the Talon members, it was interesting that they even used the word Talon because of it starting with the letters TE, which is the original way that T's name was spelt. And then Doe felt to change it to TI, and then he said you could say it either way, you could spell it either way. But he left it as a standard to use TI. But anyway, so even though the Telon members don't actually demonstrate next level behaviors and ways, except maybe in little ways or in spiritual ways, which I think are kind of pseudo, you know, making things look like they're, you know, people are holy and, sophisticated and spiritually adept and aware and conscious, and yet they could be totally unaware of reality. They can be steeped in spirituality and religiosity, if that's a word. And we all potentially have degrees of that. If we don't think we do, then we probably do for sure, because we get blinded by how much of it exists until we are challenged. And many people are challenged by Tiando's teachings because of that very reason, that they start speaking in plain terms about things and things that to us in the current day mean something and don't have additional mysteries necessarily associated with it. Like when Tiando said that they were from the physical, many-membered evolutionary kingdom level above human, each of those words means a whole lot. And it brings in, they didn't say all those words together that often that I ever heard, but um, that's just like a composite of many of the high points in that kind of a title. Because, physical was one big one, though, even though they didn't actually, they talked about human individual metamorphosis. And that's the process that Jesus was also teaching and that he experienced during that what was talked about in the Gospels as the Transfiguration. If you look at it, the word in Greek is metamorphos, and I don't think it's an accident that it has the same kind of structure as metamorphosis, because even the Christ and the term chrysalis uh, can seem to have a relationship, even though, because chrysalis is the time in which the caterpillar spends converting into the new vehicle. That's their chrysalis, the new butterfly vehicle. And for a human, the time that they're um, uh, trying to give their all, their 100% of their energy to the teachers, their older members that they recognize are their older members, is the chrysalis in that respect. And so the caterpillar body is left behind by the caterpillar because there is no caterpillar body anymore. It goes away. It turns into a goo, actually biologically, of some sort that uh, scientists that I heard talk about it that were studying this didn't know how to identify where the new parts were growing from. But I guess that goo was down to the genetics to where it had the code to actually instruct the cells on what to become. And that, that process is what Tiendo said that their students in their classroom were were going through, and they called it in 1975 body changes. But in 1980 something, 84 or 5, before T left, she was saying that they were both saying that members of their class were growing a next level body in a next level lab, wherever that lab is. It could have been on the planet, or it could have been on another planet, or in a spacecraft that's as big as the planet. They weren't trying to guess about where it was because they didn't have that information, and they didn't need to have that information because those of us that recognized it, that's why we were there, because we recognized it as we knew that what they were giving us was more accurate information than we'd ever heard about before. And we recognized it because our souls were working with these vehicles, trying to get that mind from the next level that they received from previous incarnations into the current vehicle so that they could continue their needed growth in the human kingdom or in a human kingdom environment. Because that's where growth comes from. We need to be in human vehicles. You're not going to escape anything by just getting out of your vehicle. Uh, um, because you need to know where you're going, uh, the way that the members of the class knew who their older member was and where they were going because of what they knew they could trust from their older member. And that trust was obtained over years in most cases, but it didn't have to be over years. Some of the ones that joined in '94, they were 3.5 years. They were in the classroom. Some of them, well, most of them, I think, or maybe it was just like half of the ones that joined in '94. So, but Doe talked about that as the last will be first and the first will be last kind of thing. So that because the class from '75 was going through the lessons step by step, that enabled the lessons to be learned a little more easily. Should I go to the chat?
Yeah, I was just lower your voice.
Lower my voice. Okay. Thank you.
It's
The tape
8:05.
number was 220. Finch. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to 216 through 220 and then onward, then you're going to get a pretty good view of how Doe thought about uh, T's leaving and some of the lessons that came up right before T left.
And
I-
after.
and after T left, right? And and it's an extraordinary group of tapes. I mean, they're all extraordinary. I don't say that out of some kind of automatic kind of belief or something, But I say that because every time I listen to them, I know how extraordinary their information is. So much so that I know that it's for probably many people, it's maybe beyond what they're capable of pulling in. However, we don't know who those would be, and nobody has to take that as a. I'm not putting anybody down. It's just that, like a lot of things in life, if you don't go after it, you don't gain the benefit of what going after it brings. It's just that plain and simple. I think I could be wrong, but uh, so I always encourage going after it. You know, listening to the tapes and reading the book and listening to the Beyond Human tapes, and as many times as you feel to see, you know, look for certain things or whatever. That's the way I did it most of the time. I was looking to help answer questions and stuff, even though sometimes probably the better thing to do would be to tell them to go read it in the Heaven's Gate site. But I don't know. These days, I think, well, the influences can have us, you know, take stabs at asking questions. Uh, and if they have to go to a website to look for it, the influences can have us easily say, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to spend the time trying to search for that, And so to me, then it can potentially be a positive for a person like myself or anybody else that knows what Tiendo taught about a certain thing, to try to explain it to somebody in their own words. I mean, trying to use as many keywords that Tiendo gave us and Crew gave us as we can, because those keywords are what potentially those minds in a human vehicle are potentially keyed to perk up a little bit about when they hear. Especially, when they hear things that don't sound religious. They can think, oh, that's interesting. Evolution, is it really, is it survival of the fittest evolution that you get to be in the next level? But that's not an accurate, that's one aspect of evolution of the species, their physical bodies. There's a certain amount of that, I think. But that's not the only aspect of an evolution of the evolutionary process. There's a lab in the next level that can have many, who knows how many departments dealing with the evolution of mineral to plant to uh, animal to human, trying to have the best nutrition for everybody, all the creatures, and over and over again. They're not sitting around, you know, thinking that it works right now, so we're not going to try to improve it. No, they're always open and looking for ways of making things better for humans until it's recycle time. And then, then they're trying to make it better by people understanding what they're all about, in depth even. And that's what the audio tapes provide. They provide a more in depth understanding of what they're all about, I believe, even though I don't actually have those two thoughts directly coming from them in any one spot. They talked about wanting people to have a more depth understanding, but they didn't say that it was through the tapes that you would get that. So that was adding my own feeling about that, and thoughts about that. So I could be wrong, but I don't have a sense that I am about that, because I don't know what else that they've done that shows more in-depth understanding about what they're about. So back to the chat room. Yeah, that's a it's a fine question. Rise above. Uh, so thank you for that question because it stimulated a bunch of thoughts to try to provide an answer to. Avatar says hello. Um, the needless great says hello. The need is great. The need is great says hello. Okay, Ricardo Lopez says, have a good stream, Sawyer. This reminds me of the old school vids. VODs. VODs? VODs. Maybe I missed that. What a VOD was. Maybe.
He's talking about your old school videos, like when you were streaming before.
Right. That's what I thought. That's the thought I got. You're talking about the ones when I used to stream some years ago. Right. I would just ramble on and on and on, right, about things. But it's not really rambling in my mind because I'm doing more than just reciting the alphabet or just saying nothing. I think you know anything T and Do related directly to things they said and is like invaluable to us, to any of us. Just to consider the concepts that they had and of reality. I know the media, they say that Otiendo came up with this, in the beginning, they came up with all this stuff that was going to be partially Christian and partially, New Age and partially, paranormal or whatever, and astrology was part of it, and all this stuff. Like Tiendo sat around thinking about how are we gonna, talk about this and to try to come up to get as many people involved as possible. But they did the very opposite of that. The things they said, because they required people to actually leave behind everything in their lives to join with them, that's pretty serious. I didn't have that much to leave behind, but I still, I sold my instruments and didn't play music all that time, and I don't regret it at all. But I mean, I knew that was, for some reason, it all made sense to me. Everything they said made sense to me, and it was a really beautiful experience to meet Kathy and find out that how she came to Tiendo's information in much the same way, except it wasn't a meeting with Tiendo. It was a progression to the Beyond Human tapes and other materials. That made sense to her, even though she didn't know why it made sense necessarily. And I'm the same way. I didn't for a long time, but eventually, by receiving their information over and over again, that was never done in like a brainwashing kind of way of forcing us to listen to tapes night and day and stuff like that, or making us recite, you know, prayers or mantras or over and over again, the same words. We had little smidgets of that over 20 years, or 22 years for some, uh, um, but they were never like lengthy periods of time where uh, um, we were always encouraged to re-listen to tapes. There was never a limit put on it, but they never listened. They never had us listen to the same tape more than once by like an instruction, and they rarely gave us instructions because that's what was different about one of the things that is different about the next level classroom with human endeavors. Uh, um, it's not natural for older members to give individuals, even that want to learn from them, instructions on what to do. But they do it because they know that we need that help to get to push a little closer to receiving their minds. And so they give us little techniques to to try to clear our heads from the humanness and things like that. So that we had like mantras like if in doubt. No, that wasn't a mantra. No, like one was um, uh, I have little parts of them in my mind, but I'm not remembering the whole ones. But with strong intent and powerful feeling, this body receives a perfect healing. That was one. I've got them on my Sawyer Heaven's Gate, sawyerhg.wordpress.com. Look up meditation. Do a search on meditation, and it'll come up with several different meditations. And some of them are in the early tapes, like one and two, maybe, I don't know which ones, five maybe, had different meditations in it that Tiendo gave us to use. But we didn't have instructions. At first, we had instructions to use them, use the meditation every day, even twice a day, I think. And then that lasted for a couple of weeks, maybe at the most, and then they said it's optional. That's an example. I'm giving you real examples. And I have many examples I can give of the things that Tiendo instigated and then made it optional. And so if it was optional, then if you didn't do it, then you didn't get that program in your head. You didn't get that when I say program, I'm talking about how to conquer a certain influence, a discarnate influence on us to do human things. If that's something that we want to try to conquer. And if you're in the classroom and you're headed towards graduation, you're going to have to want to conquer everything, or T and O are going to find out that you really don't want to, and they're going to suggest maybe that you leave the classroom, and they'll help you leave. Uh, like they did many times to people, giving them some funds and a plane ticket, like they did with Flexodi. So, and others I don't know about exactly, but because I wasn't in the department, that might have been students helping T&O with certain things like that. Julia Terranova says, "Howdy from Australia. Hope you, Kathy, and Miss Evie are well."
Thanks,
We are. We are. Yeah, Evie just must have heard her name because she just, or you just poke her.
I didn't.
She just perked up and said hello. Said hello.
She did.
Yeah, we're doing fine. All right, folks. I don't know. Well, I'm going back to my screen print that's in that editor, and go to number 2. Oh yeah, this is just a little tidbit. It's not important, but for years, I mean many years, double digits. In interviews, the many interviews I've given, I would say to people and on the streams that T left her vehicle on June 19th, 1985. And today, when we're listening to tape 220, I think it was Annie Odie who was talking about, and she was saying that she had a question, and it had to, I forgot what it had to do with, but in the question she said that the time of the meeting was just 10 or 11 days ago when T left. And the time of the meeting was June 30th. So 10 days would be June 20th, and 11 days would be June 19th. So I guess I got confirmation that I remembered that correctly, and I just like seeing those kind of things because I don't like to say things that are wrong. If I know something's wrong, I'm not gonna. If I know something's wrong, then I'm gonna correct it. But people might not get the correction, of course. All right. Well, I guess there's always a ton more, but I do have to get up in the morning and work.
Yeah, you do.
And even though I enjoy trying to give little tidbits here. So, with that said, I'm going to say good night, folks.